All right, guys, we got Joey Hiykel back, Beater Bomb. He was here once with a group, and now it's a nice little one-on-one. This is going to be more of a update session and kind of talking about current events more than like life story.
Where I came from.
Yeah. 1320 did a really awesome job at that, and they on their last podcast with you, they did a really awesome job at kind of some of the history, some more of the memories and stuff. But
yeah,
there's a lot in the news.
Yeah, recent events, we'll call it. Recent events.
Should we just start with the Band-Aid ripped off? Would it have been different if you guys could have poured a puddle? How different would it have been?
I don't think so. Some of the guys that lost first round, they think so, but in my opinion, it was so hot out that any sort of prep would have been made it greasier. And overall, the tire, everybody uses the same tires, the Hoosier DO5, and that tire is so soft already. Like, you honestly don't need to do a burnout with them. Yeah. They're not even meant to build much heat when you're doing a burnout. Like, I know some of them trucks were doing massive burnouts, but I don't think so, in my opinion. I did burnouts just fine, enough to clean the tires off, and I mean, I think I did great, in the 60-foot range. The only advantage, I think, maybe if we're grasping straws here, to have a burnout is that it puts rubber down. Mm-hmm. So then the surface gets better and better, but that would be the only advantage I could see. Watching any of the YouTube videos out there, you'll see most of the rear-wheel drive cars had issues at 300-ish feet, and burnouts aren't going to change that.
And by issues, you mean they're spinning? They're starting to spin out. Probably where they start to really feed in power to hopefully come around.
Yep.
But it's even crazy. You could see it when the cars were at full hooked up, probably like 400 or 500 feet, the all-wheel drive cars were still pulling away from them.
Yeah.
You were still seeing real estate get made.
Yeah, it's so tough. I mean, floor it next to somebody on the interstate. It's tough to gain up on somebody when they've already are out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched Garrett's actual YouTube video yet of the race, but when me and him raced, I was neck and neck with him until about 300 foot, and he just starts to drive away, and tire smoke and starts spinning. And
it's funny because you think it'd be the opposite, where the all-wheel drive car would leave,
right?
Then you'd start to gain back, and then by the stripe if there was just not enough space,
not enough real estate to come back by.
But those all-wheel drive cars make so much horsepower that we're not talking like Evos and stuff.
No,
like I think a lot of people think like, oh, it's like they're all-wheel drive, but they don't make a lot of horsepower. You're thinking like a typical all-wheel drive.
Yeah, no, I don't know how much they make, but I would estimate, 1,800, easily 1,500 to 2,000, easily.
Well, that diesel truck probably was making probably capable of 4,000.
Yeah, oh yeah, that is nearly a couple $100,000 build, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm not familiar with anything in the diesel world, but I mean, it's a billet engine, right?
I'm pretty sure it's a billet Cummins with a ton of nitrous through it, and full fiberglass front end, but it's probably still heavy.
Is it? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of panel, the length of metal is still there, it's a long vehicle, but if everything's fiberglass and the cabs are honestly the size of a car and bedsides can't be too much, maybe it's comparable.
Yeah. And again, like to answer some of the dumb questions that I've seen is it's hard for rear-wheel drive cars to do burnouts because there's so much weight.
Oh yeah. You just look at any videos of anyone doing burnouts, the trucks in two-wheel drive can just do an insane burnout because they don't have any weight in the back. They don't need it in the back.
Yeah.
And the rear wheel drive cars have to have all that weight back there. It's not like we can just turn the weight off. The weight has to be there to race. And so, yeah, you can just see a noticeable difference of how much the front tires spinning helps the trucks accelerate just in the burnout. I mean, if you watch the rear wheel drive cars, they were basically doing a test hit almost in the burnout, and then lining up and racing. Now, obviously, like a car like mine, I have a bunch of strategies to turn off all of the timing retard or boost limitations doing a burnout and stuff. So I personally was able to do a burnout just fine, I feel like, or enough. Sure, I didn't sit there and smoke the tires, but like we talked, I just wanted to clean the tires off, and that was about it.
Yeah, slightly different strategy. I even saw a comment of people like, they were putting prep on the tires before they pulled out.
I didn't even know that. I mean, I knew that was a thing, but I was obviously concentrated on my own program and didn't even see them doing that. But yeah, I think 1320 Video had a picture of their apparatus thing that they were coating the tires in.
You got to drive through a lot of dirt to
Yeah.
get from where the pit was
Yeah.
to the track.
I don't know if that's a good strategy. I mean, the guys that were doing that, they didn't make it past first round. So I don't know. Maybe it helped them. Maybe it didn't. I mean, overall, the other 15 cars besides me are nearly the baddest of the bad.
Yep.
So they know what they're doing. Whether it works for them or not, I think they're going to do something that's going to be every advantage they can.
I think it was also a mix of some tough draws for first round that also kept a lot of the...
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, maybe there was a rear-wheel drive car that could have beaten a different all-wheel drive car, but then the shakedown
Absolutely.
just kind of...
I mean, that is flat out me. I think I got one of... I don't want to call any of the all-wheel drive cars slow, but I got one of the easier ones. Sure, you still can't mess up.
Yeah.
But I think the other guy that I raced had maybe an issue or something, and I made not an A to B, but I got to the finish line first. And, there was Andrew Lavender. He also had one of I think the guy forgot to put it in four-wheel drive that he raced. And
That's a tough break.
I mean, I don't know. That's not our fault, So
That's what you'd hope. I mean, anytime I pull up to the line racing someone, I hope they screwed up somewhere in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you also hope that you can kind of get in their head enough to make them screw
Right.
up.
Apply some pressure, and people, fall under pressure.
That's why somebody like James Tall, who's driving that all-wheel drive truck, is such a well-known driver, because he's
good at what he does.
known to screw up other people, too.
Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know. Garrett and I talked yesterday about by now people will see that Garrett plans another one October 1st.
Yep.
So Garrett and I were talking yesterday about what rules we thought could make it a little more fair. Now, granted, some of the races were like super close.
Yeah.
Which...
Even you and Garrett, like, you were right on his bumper.
Yeah.
You were right there. It wasn't like they were just running through everyone.
No. And I mean, they did their homework, the all-wheel drive guys, so they did good. And Garrett and I were talking about like what rules should we change or anything like that, and we did discuss the water burnout thing, and I just don't think that is going to make a big enough difference, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But so otherwise, the next rule would be tire size, because he didn't want to take anything away from all-wheel drive, making them change anything, such as, I don't know, smaller tires or no wings or whatever.
Yeah, you had to run it heads up to see what happens first.
Yeah, he basically was asking me what rules did rear wheel drive need changed to compete a little bit better. Because honestly, 5 and 11 after first round, That ain't very good.
No, it was a bad look.
That's...
And it was the baddest cars.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of F-150s.
Yes.
Which is comical in a way.
Yes. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
And I saw even like Billy commented like KC Max probably made one of the fastest passes of the event.
Yeah, of first round for sure.
And he still had half a car put on him.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't watch to see like how the reaction time part of it was, but yeah, I mean, he was 2 cars behind the truck. Mm-hmm. And that's
crazy.
You can't make that up.
And he's got 1 billion passes on that car at this point.
Yeah.
So it's not like
he literally races every weekend. And that's a lot. That is a lot.
I know, that's crazy. Like me and you race a decent amount.
Right.
That's like,
right. I get tired of race cars.
Yeah, you kind of have to after a certain point, but then there's some people that just, they never do.
No, they love it.
They are just obsessive about it.
Yeah.
And I think Casey's one of them where
Yep.
even he went to the fresh air system deal instead of ProCharger, which
he gets bored. He gets bored. I don't know.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then, so you guys were talking about what rules would make it better. Putting different tires on it would be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, when you're in negotiations, you go from here to here. Mm-hmm. And so Garrett has to draw me back to in the middle, but we haven't really decided yet. So we're still working together on what we think is a fair.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in the end, I don't want it to be a total opposite where rear-wheel drive just dominates them.
Yeah.
We all want it to be a fair, clean, close race. Because that's good racing. That's good for content, and anytime there's a bloodbath like there was, so to say, it's some viewers might look at it like boring,
Absolutely. I mean, it was close enough where you can't take too much from them. And also, you don't want to give the rear-wheel drive too much to where it's like almost embarrassing to a point. It's like, oh, you're going to give the rear-wheel drive guys like the hit?
Right.
Then it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. No, I agree. I didn't think of like giving them the hit and stuff like that, but I don't think that's the way to do it.
It would just be like embarrassing.
That's like you're getting about 4 to 5 tenths is what the hit is worth. Because you think about it, it's whatever your reaction time is based on the Christmas tree. So a 4 tenths pro tree is it's already factoring in 4 tenths delay, and then whatever your reaction time is, which fast guys are less than 100. So you're near 4 tenths to 5 tenths of he left, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And that half second, I mean, we would have dominated with another half second, obviously.
In an 1/8 mile, like
right.
Short like that.
Yeah.
But there's got to be some negotiation without some of those guys probably can't change like Crazy Horse probably can't put much smaller of a tire on that thing.
No. Yeah. That's why I don't think we're going to change any of the all-wheel drive rules. They're going to be able to maintain what they had and move forward. Just rear-wheel drive is going to need a little bit more. And the problem with tire size is that most of these cars, they only race on 28s. They can't even fit a bigger tire if they wanted to.
It's going to be a different group of guys.
I mean, it might have to be. Might have to be.
Might have to branch into the who's got the big tire, no prep deal.
Exactly. Kind of bring back a Street Outlaws street race vibe,
Yeah.
Where they were obviously on big tires and much better surface than what Bradenton was. But
that was my next question on the surface, too, because what was your take on the surface? Because you hadn't been out there until that morning.
Obviously I looked at it, but none of us had data. There was one car that came to a test and tune and then drove down and made a hit. It was a month or so ago, but otherwise,
I think I remember that. Where I was like, did he just make a hit at the top?
Right. It was surprising, but no. The surface was challenging. It was about what I had tested on, so I was pretty prepared. But it was very challenging. I don't know if the heat of the day made it a little worse or just it was a poor surface. The asphalt was very smooth, which was nice. The bump, honestly, didn't upset a lot of cars. Mine, it does because the weight is so far back there. It amplifies. If you don't go straight over the bump, it amplifies the sway, you could call it.
Where's the bump? How far out?
It's about 300 feet, 400 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason, they transitioned to a different kind of asphalt in that area.
Yep.
And maybe that they're using the same asphalt as on the race surface to that point, and then the shutdown area, they transitioned to something else. But yeah, there's a slight bump there. You could notice it in some of the videos, but that didn't really affect too many cars, honestly. Most of the rear-wheel drive cars, they would hit that bump and then the front tires would wheelie for a little bit and then come back down.
Weird. I didn't realize there was a bump out there. Both lanes, I would assume, then have the bump.
Yes. Yeah. The left lane was a little worse with a bump, but they both had the bump for sure.
And I mean, for you guys, it's to be expected that the roads aren't perfect.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, honestly, the smoothness was very good overall besides that one bump. Compared to most of the surfaces these other guys race on, the asphalt is much more coarse, so the rocks stick up through the asphalt more, whereas at Bradenton, it was very, very smooth. Maybe it's just something in Florida. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if just that backside of the track's good or if it's interesting route they take too with not racing towards the front side of the track.
Yes, I did.
The shutdown's fairly short.
That is about a 50-50 shot when you go to a backside race, whether you race towards the front or from the 1320 on. It just depends on how much shutdown's available, but I did hear at Bradenton it was an insurance reason.
Okay.
That's what I heard.
They don't want to race towards the tree.
Correct, yeah, because racing towards the sand trap is safer, I guess, or maybe in their insurance policy they have something about you can only race the one direction, maybe. I don't know, but...
It would have been interesting, too, because you guys would have been picking up a ton of prep. On the ways back around.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because Garrett and I had talked about doing staging on the racetrack, and that way cars didn't have to turn around.
Because that slowed it down a ton.
That did. Because now, granted, all the trucks, most of them drove down. There was a few that didn't, but yeah, a lot of the rear-wheel drive cars pushed. They are race cars.
Yep.
So that took time to push at, 12 mile an hour on the golf cart and get turned around, do a 10-point turn to get turned around. And it just slowed the operation down. I mean, they had a testing for the reunion at 5 p.m. and I think we got done at like 4:45. So they were not very happy. They were trying to rush at the end, and
they were over there trying to prep and get the track ready. And you guys are up there on the top end, kicking rocks backwards.
I know. But overall, I think the event went really good and smooth, and didn't have any accidents or oil downs, so that's pretty good. I mean, having an oil down up there on the asphalt would have been detrimental, honestly, because they have to soak it up with oil dry and then clean that off. And
no wrecks is huge. I mean, that's awesome that everyone kept it off the wall. It's a pretty wide track, so that's nice. I mean, there was some few that got hairy, but it being so wide definitely keeps it safe. And a couple of the openings are a little sketchy anyways up there. Like the first turn off you have to go past, which there's this huge opening then.
Yeah, you're going past that at 100 and some miles an hour.
Yeah, it's like right at the shutdown, like right when you let off. But I also was kind of finding it entertaining that Garrett, all things considered, is not a no prep guy.
No, at all. No, definitely not.
And he just kind of lit the no prep world on fire a little bit.
Right.
And made a lot of people change their tune, it seems, all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not a no prep guy. Guy's never been to War in the Woods. Guy's never been to the pad. Like
nothing.
I-29 a little bit for some,
right.
But like that's kind of like front track.
Yeah, that's normal-ish, I'd say.
But then now all the no prep people are talking about all-wheel drive being involved finally.
Right.
Or why they weren't involved to begin with.
Now they're just banned from everywhere.
They were already slightly banned.
They were slightly banned. I don't really pay much attention to the all-wheel drive rules, but yeah, now a lot of people have changed their tone. But anytime you race on the front side of the racetrack, all-wheel drive just can't compete because there's so much surface to grab a hold of in rear-wheel drive.
Yeah.
All-wheel drive has too much grip on the front side, in my opinion. You know, you watch them, if they aren't smooth on a launch, they start hopping.
Yeah.
You know, one car that notably I can think of is the Red Demon, the stick shift one or whatever. And, you know, he is wild.
Yeah. And then, like, you know, he's also a little different than some of the other ones that we're thinking of, too, because we're thinking, like, front engine, mostly rear biased, like the F-150s. But then there's like Miles Kerr, who's got the Integra.
Yeah, he did well too.
Stick shift too.
Yeah.
Like that car's impressive.
Yeah, I've talked to Miles a few times and, you know, we talked at PRI and I was hoping he'd be on the team. He didn't know at the time whether he was or wasn't. But yeah, he did really well. We talked a few times at the race this weekend or this week and, you know, he beat one of the Team Denver guys too, and you know that's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, Team Denver is no joke.
Right, everybody had them picked to win. I did, honestly, and
I mean, even when Garrett beat Charles, I was like, oh wow,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that thing's working well.
And they prepped their tires.
I figured Charles would do something.
Yeah,
because he's kind of like you, where it's like, you know, figuring something out that other people aren't doing. Like famously, his wing goes to the diff instead of just to the car.
Right, to push directly on the tire instead of pivoting. Because you watch Andrew Lavender's car, the rear-wheel drive car that made it the furthest, he is like toting the front tires a couple inches at the finish line because those wings just push so hard.
Yeah, you're pushing the whole chassis up instead, like you're pivoting the chassis instead of just pushing the rear tires into the ground.
Right.
So the suspension's still doing the same thing it normally would do, except now there's just more weight on it. It's a genius move by Charles. I mean,
for sure.
Seems like it works well. Maybe he needs a bigger wing because it's kind of tiny.
Right. Maybe after this he'll take what he can learn and do better.
I do appreciate that they allowed the butthurt bar.
Oh yeah.
You weren't the only one with that.
No, all the trucks had them, and Crazy Horse had one.
Yep. Brett had one.
Yeah, there was a couple other rear-wheel drive guys that built one just for this. You know, it works well. It works well. I mean, there's no doubt about it that, you know, I can't not use it. I have to use it. Just because, you know, twin turbo big block is so heavy in the front, I'd be stacking way too much weight in the trunk to get the kind of leverage that I need. But yeah, it was funny to see all of the butthurt bars out there.
I know, even on the all-wheel drive trucks, it was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Maybe that'd be a rule they could add, is the no butthurt bars for all-wheel drive.
I don't think that'd matter either. But you know, if you look, the two fastest all-wheel drive trucks both had them.
Yeah.
So
they were both doing the same thing, and they had a lot of weight back there too, I saw.
Yeah.
Like the silver one that James was driving had a ton of weight mounted in the back. And they were kind of doing the same thought process as the rear-wheel drive guys. It'd be interesting to know how much front bias they have, like going down track.
Yeah, obviously a rear-wheel drive car is probably near 60% on the back, but I'm guessing the trucks are not as much because they don't need it. I mean, like we talked earlier, just look at the burnout process.
Yeah.
you can just tell the trucks had no issues doing burnouts, whereas all the cars did.
Well, even like little OJ is a big block twin turbo deal.
Yeah.
That was not a Coyote car anymore.
No, I didn't see whoever beat him. Probably one of the all-wheel drive guys beat him because after first round they had to race a couple.
It was a lot less rear-wheel drive.
Yes, yes. Oh yeah, yeah.
I wonder how many people are having a vengeance right now, just going through it. The rear-wheel drive guys.
I don't know.
What should I have done differently?
Yeah. And I can only talk about my program. Obviously, I wasn't too involved in anyone else's watching them or anything. There's a lot going on. But overall, I feel like my first round pass was a little slower, is in the middle of the pack of the rear-wheel drive guys, I guess. But my second round pass was a lot better. And that's where I pride myself on, is gathering data and improving on that, that could have played a big part in the all-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive on first round too, because they knew the surface.
Yeah.
So maybe another thing would be rear-wheel drive guys get a test pass. That could be another.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Another advantage to help it, get a little closer.
Yeah, one test pass just to dial it in and put some rubber down.
Something.
That'd be nice.
I mean, that's just a thought.
Yeah.
To add to the rule changes, because a lot of them, talking afterwards with the rear-wheel drive guys, a lot of them did say, oh, well, I could have done better, with data, which no doubt about it. I mean, prime example, I did better the second time too.
Yeah. And if that was your third pass,
right,
you probably would have been significantly faster.
Yeah. So
even hate to call him my boy Billy like this, but he probably got the worst.
He had a tough draw. He's one of those ones when we were talking about you got an easy draw or tough draw. He had a tough draw.
It was a tough look.
The previous winner.
Yeah.
So. And I think he ended up going to the finals, that Grimace truck, the purple one.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he went to the finals again. So, yeah, no doubt about it. He had a super tough draw.
That truck was fast. I was like, damn, that thing's driving out on Billy hard. And Billy's truck is very well known for getting down, and it got down well, and it was rolling, but it was making him look very slow.
It's just a prime example of a little bit. The all-wheel drive was a little bit more of an advantage on that surface.
I was standing at the line too, and man, he was fired up.
Oh Jesus, he's a lot.
That dude was fired up.
But just to make things even here, you watch him in the driver's meeting or beforehand, there was a lot of doubt in his mind also, because he wasn't as fired up as before. But as soon as one round went by, or one pair of cars went by, he could see what was about to happen, and then you start pumping up your confidence level, and you can see what's about to happen.
He had all of it.
Oh yeah,
and he's carrying it across social media still.
He's a good character. He is a good character to have around for sure.
That was for Garrett, and entertainment wise, that was the dream scenario of the other team's mascot, head of the other team.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That's what you want. You want somebody that's fired up like that, because if you didn't, you may have had people that weren't as serious about bringing their cars. They weren't as
right.
Oh, I want to go beat him.
Yeah, it sucks to be on the other side of that boat, but no, overall. He is a very good person to have around. He does talk a lot of smack, obviously, but he isn't. He's not what I'd call disrespectful by any means.
He was heavy-handed on losers.
Yes, that's normal.
Yeah.
You can tell he's out there having fun, and he's not. If somebody was really seriously down and out, he wouldn't he wouldn't have been like that.
Yeah, like
you
if
know?
somebody wadded their car up and stuff, he wouldn't have been like over there gloating about it. You know,
way.
It would have been
Yeah.
completely different tune, that
Correct.
type of thing. Like,
yeah.
But beating somebody heads up fair and square,
Absolutely.
get all fired up.
Yep.
Live it up. Dance around.
Nope. I totally agree. I mean, I'm not going to say I would have been that way if we were dominating them, but there, what he was doing was not what I'd call uncalled for. He was perfectly in his means of being an entertaining person.
Yep. And I think the scenario, like kind of how Garrett put it, was he had the all-wheel drive shootout. Rear-wheel drive guys said, if you let us out there, it'd be a different story for them.
And that's what's crazy.
So he had something to prove a little bit.
Right. I never noticed what transpired from that or who was talking smack besides a few people. But yeah, overall, that was the storyline. Garrett had this race, and then a bunch of the backtrack guys said, we're going to whoop up on you. And so, yeah, Manny had a leg to stand on here.
Yeah, like he actually felt like he was under attack a little bit.
Right.
And, he's not just some guy that has these trucks built.
No.
He builds them all. Like they're all
the same.
His deal, yeah. But he actually owns the shop that puts them together and stuff. It's not just like, oh, I had this truck built and it's the baddest truck. Like,
right.
They're fully his kind of concept and contraption, if you will.
Yeah, he thought them up and has acquired what parts work and what doesn't, and he started from the bottom and got them to where they're at.
Yeah, fully dialed in the F-150 game.
Yeah, oh yeah. And some of them were not as wild as like Gringo or Crazy Horse. There was a few that were a little more mild that still ran good.
So I saw a video maybe a couple months ago where 1320 put out a video of Gringo running on the street.
Oh yeah, the Dallas or Austin cash days or something. Yeah, somewhere in Texas.
And I saw that, and they went to multiple different surfaces, and it just kept getting faster and faster no matter where they put it.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was like, oh.
Yeah,
they're pretty screwed.
That was when they debuted that they installed a butthurt bar on that truck.
But it raced a couple cars that were even at this race.
Yes, Wayland.
That Nova, I think, right?
Wayland, a silver Nova. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he put multiple cars on him there, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
That thing's way faster than people are giving it credit for.
Right.
I saw it at 400 feet. It almost a second or third nitrous kit was coming on, and it was
yeah. Because that's the problem. That's where rear-wheel drive starts to lose traction, is out of the rubber, way out there.
Mm-hmm. And see, I guess I would think that you could put in more power there once you have all that wheel speed, but still not.
No, not really. Not really. Obviously, a car like mine or Wayland's, we both have big blocks, and we just have an unlimited amount of power, and so there is a point where that 28-10-5 just can't handle anymore.
And it starts kind of probably walking around a little bit more.
Just starts spinning, gaining some wheel speed, and
yeah, and you're probably driving it a lot more up there.
Yeah, the race. James showed me a video of the race of me and Garrett from this last week, and I am barely hovering the front tires and smoking the rear tires at the same time, and it's that is as much weight as I can get on the rear tire. Yeah. And I am clearly still overpowering it.
The classic Dominic Toretto.
Right.
Burnout with the wheels.
Yeah. It's I can't. The only thing I could do better is adding one of those wings to apply more downforce with speed.
And you'd have to add it to the diff, because if you didn't, you'd just be pulling the front end up.
Yeah. Because I am already just toting the front tire just barely.
Yeah. You'd look like the Outlaw 10.5 guys.
Right, right. Lance,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's just through the traps with the wheels up in the air.
He is
dumping
wild.
the chute, looking up at the scoreboard.
Right. He is wild. So, yeah, then I hope all of the rear-wheel drive guys came from this and are going to learn to try and do better. I'm not really sure what Garrett and I are going to decide yet on rules to make it a little more fair. but I'm sure we'll work on it. And
I'd imagine most of them want a second try at that.
You
There was also a
know-
good amount of money to win. I didn't realize that the pot became so big.
yeah, it was 20 grand to win, and then we did a $32,000 side bet of all-wheel drive wins or rear-wheel drive wins.
Okay, so everybody started to pitch into that.
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody pitched in like a grand to a side bet.
It was it was all different sorts of numbers, but yeah.
Okay. And then whoever won that, like the winner of it, got that, right?
I'm not sure who on the all-wheel drive side. On our side, we split it up, different denominations.
Interesting. Yeah, so that there was a pretty significant amount to win, and then
sure.
Garrett had Limpy on the light, so it
Right.
wasn't like anything was weird there.
Nope, everything was very good there, very normal. In the driver's meeting, they asked who hasn't raced with Limpy, and none of us. Everybody has raced with Limpy, so there was no newcomers, no nothing. Everything was pretty normal.
Yeah.
Limpy is absolutely the best out there of doing what he does. I feel like the most fair. There's been several times I've raced with Limpy, and the other competitors have claimed I jumped or not or whatever, and he doesn't take sides or nothing. He is there for the sport.
And he gets final say in that. He's race director.
Absolutely.
You show him the video, and he gets the say in who jumped.
Yep.
Sometimes you go to races and you like go to a director about like a problem, and they start consulting other people and like bullshitting around, and you're
Right.
like, someone has to make this decision. Like,
Right.
Someone has to man up here.
You feel like you're getting localed by the homies.
Yeah, or even
basically.
just miscommunication of how the rule pans
Right.
out. Like, which rule is it?
Yeah, no, Limpy he is, like I said, he is there for the race, and I've never known him to be taking sides of anybody or anything. He just wants to see the sport do well and grow, and that's what he is there for. And I'm glad that he is able to come to these races and be the flag guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it makes it a lot more serious.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes Garrett's gotten flack for not being serious enough in some aspects, and I think that shows the level of like,
Oh yeah.
this is a real deal.
Yeah, and the best part about it is, since all of us have raced with Limpy, like, we trust him. You go to some races where you don't know who's doing what, and it leaves some doubt in your mind. Did I just get screwed? Or, if something happens.
Yeah.
Whereas you go to a race with Limpy, you never question it.
Huh. That's such an interesting thought, because I'm not used to like the tree being having a pulse. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And making decisions.
Yes, exactly. I mean, making decisions is a big deal. When we race from the front side of the racetrack, the Christmas tree, the computer rarely messes up.
The only time there's ever a mess up is when somebody doesn't flip that button right.
Right.
And you end up getting hung out on the brake.
I know.
I saw it happen yesterday to someone, and I was just like, ooh, somebody was a little slow on the button. And ended up leaving my boy out there just
Right.
on the popper.
Yeah. I was out there for a while a few times, but I mean, that's part of racing, I feel like.
Yeah. You got it.
Everybody tries to be courteous and go in when they can.
Yeah, I've had that too. So you were actually at BMP yesterday as well, doing quarter mile testing ish.
Quarter mile testing. Yes, the quarter mile clocks were activated, but
I saw a 7.0
yeah,
at 147 or something.
right. I was lifting and on the brakes. Yeah, I ended up going, I think, a number 2 qualifier or something at 660, but I can't even. I was flooring it to maybe like 4 some seconds, and then I just lift. I can't floor it any longer. Like, this car is straight up just geared for 8th mile, and that's it.
Yeah, especially when you're on prep and you're hitting it so much harder.
Oh, yeah.
You're just exaggerating how
Yes.
the gearing works
Yeah.
so much more.
Uh-huh.
And then even, I was talking to Brad Vasco. He's like, man, I'm really not happy Joey's doing this. He's got aluminum rods in that thing.
Right.
He's just running it out.
Oh, yeah.
Just gearing it up.
8,500 I was lifting at.
It's like, it's making me nervous.
Yeah. It was fun to test on radials. I raced at BMP the weekend prior, too, at Troy's Battle in the Bay race.
Yep.
And, you know, first time ever on radials and...
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Wow.
Yeah, I no prepped on radial several years ago, but that is nothing compared to radial prep.
Yep.
So, yeah, first time on 275s, and, you know, it went pretty good. We lost first round, but had the lost RPM signal and ended up taking it to Garrett's shop during the week, maintenance in the car, getting it ready for the all-wheel drive race. And we changed the crank sensor, and it ran for, you know, a little bit. Well, at the all-wheel drive race, it's about 15 minutes before the driver's meeting, and I warm the car up, or, you know, I'm doing my normal warming up procedure. I heat the oil up, so oil's getting heated up, and go to start it up.
Get the M5 out of there.
Yeah, M1, but yes. I crank it up. It starts for about 2 seconds and dies. Won't ever start again. 15 minutes before the driver's meeting
Wow.
of a race you've been preparing for a month.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God. Well, come to find out, you know, we changed the crank sensor thinking it was the crank sensor because I've had that happen before. Well, it was actually the cam sensor that had caused the problem at the radial race. And luckily, Ryan, one of the rear-wheel drive guys, had another cam sensor and put it in there and started right up.
Oh, wow.
I know, it was
That's
scary.
freaking terrifying. Yeah.
Yes, it
Good
was
thing
scary.
you were like messing with it too, because it was probably okay. You're probably like, I don't really need to. Like, a lot of people probably weren't messing with their cars that much.
No, yeah, I mean,
Okay, just dialed it in. Brett probably should have been messing with his car a little bit, but
yeah,
when I had him on the other day. I haven't posted it yet, but
yeah,
I was like, man, you got to have some wiring issue or something going on in that car for it to keep kicking the head gaskets out and
Right.
doing things like that. Just like random blips of something going on there.
something turning off and on, and
And then he gets up on the trans brake and
it dies.
turns off.
Oh yeah,
And the other car just drives out on him. And then he does what I also felt nervous about. Then he makes a pass
oh yeah.
as the golf cart's going down. Like,
Oh really?
the golf cart's like about 400 feet out, and here he comes by.
Oh,
I
I didn't even see that.
I was like, oh, I don't like to see that.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
golf cart was on the track surface,
Holy cow.
going to pick up the car that just made its pass. I was like, yeah,
he's wild.
Garrett won't like that.
No, yeah.
If you know Garrett, he's pretty stickler about things.
Yeah,
like that.
he likes
Safety.
stuff to be safe and in order. Garrett's a very organized person, I think, you know, and he likes things a certain way, obviously.
Yeah, things to be safe, things to happen correctly.
Right.
Even I guess one of the all-wheel drive guys pulled up there in a t-shirt.
Oh boy. Oh my gosh, I did see a comment that Crazy Horse was wearing like pants or something and in like a sweatshirt maybe, and it's like
I noticed that way too frequently in the backside, like no prep racers, that they just take personal protection PPE
right.
so nonchalantly.
Right. Well, that's because they're outlaws, you know. They don't race from the front side, so there's no rules.
I'm in my hoodie, man. It's fine.
Yeah.
I like wearing gloves. It makes me feel nice and safe.
Yeah. Now, I don't.
I know Lyle Barnett personally.
Oh, yeah.
I put my visor down.
Yep.
It's like these guys, I don't know. If anything, it's more likely to crash. Like, it seems more like a high percentage of crashes happen on the backside.
Right.
Whether they're your fault or not.
That's because it's getting wild out there.
It seems to me like I'd put some gloves, maybe some shoes on.
Yeah. I don't know like what the rules are with diesel fuel, but you've seen some of them dyno videos of them exploding. That's fire.
Yeah.
I mean, You could still catch on fire, I'm sure.
There's oil, there's trans fluid. Trans fluid's scary.
Right.
That stuff burns.
I mean, yeah, people need to take their safety a little more serious. I mean, all of the vehicles this week were very serious. You can't say none of them weren't serious. So, like, anything can happen.
Yeah, they were going faster than my freaking radial car.
Yeah, if you're going faster than the interstate speed, you could get seriously hurt. I mean, no doubt about it.
If you would dyno it with a helmet on and a fire suit, then maybe you should race it. I always see that on the fuel tech guys.
I commend them for doing that. It's a good example that people can see, like, oh, wow, so these cars are that serious. So it's something to show people, like, yeah, these race cars are serious.
Well, we've all seen videos of a dyno operator diving out of a car.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's catching on fire or the converter just exploded. Or,
something.
Like, crazy shit happens.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dynoing a car, it's new.
Yeah.
Everything's new, and new doesn't mean it works.
Right. Yeah, the fuel tech guys, they have their gloves on, the visor down. I mean, they're full everything. Like, I don't think they're strapped in, but they have everything on them that they would be to race.
Yeah, if anything, it's perfect not being strapped in. You can get out nice and quick. No window net down, no door on the car.
Right.
Just dive out as you need to. And it's not even like if, you got a Proline Hemi, like it's eventually going to let go if you surface it right.
Yeah, you're pushing things to the limit.
Yeah.
It's wild.
So there's even some more talk about some small tire, very fast stuff coming up. $100,000 to win. What is that? That one at Shady Side?
There are a couple. Yeah, the Shady Side one is $75,000 to win. Mm-hmm. I'm entered in that one, and then Boosted has been working with the Speed Promotions, which is former No Prep Kings, obviously.
Same people, Sam, running that.
So the Boosted has been, he's diehard small tire guy from the get-go, right? So he has always been pushing to help grow small tire racing. Overall, he does awesome for the whole sport in general. But yeah, he worked with Speed Promotions and got them to do $100,000 to win 2 different races. So $200,000 technically. The first one is, I believe, at Bowling Green in June-ish. Maybe not June. Somewhere in the middle of the season, but $100,000 to win no prep. But then they're going to do a radial prep one at Rockingham, I want to say.
I think you're right.
Over in the Carolinas area-ish.
Yeah.
Another $100,000 to win. Yeah, somewhere over there.
Yep.
So radial prep.
That'll be like a 350. They'll be going like 350s for $100,000.
Probably.
The no prep one will be reasonable.
Right.
And, like you be competitive.
I hope so.
Yeah. I would think. I mean, $100,000 will put a lot of people on a slick tire.
Yeah. Boosted was talking about they originally were just going to do 32 cars maybe, but then they moved it to 64, and now I think they've moved it to 128.
Oh, wow.
So
that's a lot of cars.
I know.
But it's like 3 more rounds if you're the winner.
Yeah, but that particular event, they will not have the big tire race at.
Interesting.
It is only, I believe, the small tire one, and then your other smaller classes. Yeah.
But they're not going to put the same amount of rubber down.
No.
Like you would hope. That's what's nice about the big tire cars. They put a lot of rubber down.
They do. They're their own rotators. Yeah. You know how Bradenton has the rotator out there? Them cars do that for us.
Yeah. So $100,000 to win, you're going to be in that. There'll be 100 if there's 128 cars, probably 100 of them will be the baddest small tire.
Very likely, yeah. And it'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
Bowling Green's a cool track to do that at.
Yeah, I've never been there.
Really?
Nope, never been there.
No LS Fest for you at any point?
Nope, never did that.
It's a fun track because it feels very like everyone's kind of right there. Like all the fans and spectators are like in the pits area. It's cool. It's going to be a fun.
Yeah, I'm locked into both of those, the no prep one and then the shady side one. So
cool.
We'll see.
It's crazy how much money these promoters are able to put up all of a sudden.
Yeah.
$100,000 is huge money. We're talking bracket racer type of money now.
Yeah, and the thing that Boosted did so well at, I feel like, is sure, $100,000's a lot of money. They guaranteed $100,000 before they had one car signed up, and now they have drawn so many cars. The capital you got to come out of your pocket has gone down and down and down. But they started, hey, we're going to guarantee $100,000. But now it's a $500 buy-in, I think, at 128 cars. I mean, that's a lot less money out of your pocket. The harder you work to get cars, the less money you got to pay.
Yeah, I know Jimmy in Poland, they're doing their small tire gangsters.
Yep.
And they just said no buy-in.
Right.
You know, they're doing no buy-in, $10,000 to win. And it's like, awesome.
Yeah.
Just kind of show up, pay your entry fee into the gate, and that they throw that into the pot.
Right, I agree.
Which is a nice way to do it. And then I wonder if they'll split, because that's what'll separate the men from the boys.
It just depends who it is.
Bracket racers, they'll split 8 cars, 20 cars left.
Yeah. The problem is, it just depends who's in the little group of people that are left. Some people, and this used to be me, I'd never split, never a dime. But nowadays, I'm just like, yeah, I don't care.
I was told I was a bad person for saying I only split with my friends.
Yeah.
Like, unless I am friends with a person,
right?
That's who I'll split with. And it's like, yeah, maybe there's a rare scenario or something, but for the most part, why split with somebody you don't know?
Yeah, and that I don't think it's bad to not split, and I don't think it's bad to split. It's just personal preference, and I am much older in age to where, sure, winning money is great, but if somebody else put in the work and gets to the finals of some big badass race and, maybe they deserve a little bit, but if somebody was like, hey, I'm not splitting, it wouldn't bother me.
The other flip side is, too, I don't race many times where it's like winner take all. Usually second place is already guaranteed a couple.
80-20 or something.
Yeah, that's usually already built in by the promoter.
Right,
so it makes sense. But then we're still going to race for the trophy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still racing you.
My kid loves the trophies. Gosh.
You're not going to not get the
trophy. That's trophies are cool. I mean, they're long-lasting memories because the money, you're going to spend it the next day,
Gone. Immediately.
But race cars are expensive.
I appreciate when events go out of their way to make a badass trophy that's unique, or they have a fab shop make something cool. Or I got one from
out
TX2K.
Of pistons or something.
Yep, my TX2K one I think is 80 pounds. It feels like that.
Oh, I believe it.
It's all gears from a transmission.
Oh my gosh,
a manual trans, a bunch of gears.
Yeah,
up, and I'm like, Peter, this thing's heavy.
Right. Yeah, I've got a trophy that's about 5 feet tall. I won it at an event in Missouri, and it is so big I have to leave it in the garage because I can't put it in my office or anything. It's like a Caterpillar crankshaft or something, and I don't know.
So you still have the 26-inch slick tire record, right?
Yeah. Was that after our last?
Yes.
That was after?
Yeah, you went to, what was that? What track?
Flying H.
Flying H just opened. It looks like an awesome facility.
Oh, super nice facility for sure, yeah.
They needed one in that area, too.
Yeah, because Topeka, so you have Kansas City, which is a large, metropolitan area, and then there was Topeka, which was about an hour away one way, and then they closed, which was a big national event facility and, had Top Fuel there and whatever.
One day up and closed like tracks do.
Basically, the city, from what I gathered, now I don't know if this is true or not, but from what I gathered, the city just kept raising taxes, and the guy that owned it was like, hey, this isn't fair. I can't afford these taxes, and then just quit paying taxes on it and sold it.
Nice.
So yeah, Flying H is a similar, very similar facility. Super large, big pits. They have like 3 different tiers of pits and parking lots, and real nice. Granted, at the beginning of the year, they weren't paved pits, so but they've been working towards it. You know, they opened, and there's opening, drawbacks, but either way, super nice facility. Went there. I was, doing good throughout the season, and just got to be where I was like, I'm bored of I want to try something new. And there was a couple of the cars I tuned raced on 26s in this smaller series a little bit south of me. There was about 5 tracks that did a 26-inch class series. And I was like, yeah, I might want to try that. Like, the record was like 463 or something. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like that's super easy to achieve. So, yeah, there was a test and tune or something at Flying H one weekend, and it was towards the end of the year, and I was like, I'm bored. I'm gonna go after this. And all I did was put 26s on, literally, and didn't change anything else.
Gearing, no
nothing.
diff gearing.
Nope, nothing. I was like, we're just gonna see how it goes and hope for the best. So yeah, I went out there. It was a Friday, Saturday test and tune thing. I went out there on Friday, and I think the third pass I went a 446, and it was, the first 2 passes were not the greatest, so it was difficult. Them tires were just so small. I mean, I compare them, to golf cart tires, basically. That we call them golf cart tires.
They're tiny.
They are tiny, and they are 26 inches tall, but they're only 8.5 inches wide too.
Yep.
So it's not like a 26.10.5 or anything. It is 26.8.5. And so that Friday.
And then when you stretch them, they just get shorter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I put them on 11-inch wide wheels because they were so small, which is pretty.
24s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The car just sat like tooted up in the front and just slammed in the back. But that Friday, I made, I think, 7 or 8 runs and made it down only a couple times. So then on Saturday, I was like, you know what? I don't want to go out there and spin again. So I added some weight to the back, and those are most of the videos you've seen on YouTube where it's just like wheeling nonstop. But
yeah, it's kind of like teetering. It's up and down. It's like,
oh yeah, yeah. So it was fun. I ended up going 438 at 180, which, I mean, that's impressive, honestly.
Oh, on that tire for sure.
Yeah, and just shattered the record from there. I don't think anyone's gonna even come close. It's not a thing where no one else can. That's just they just don't.
It would take somebody to like actually.
That's bored like I was, basically.
Like somebody with the car that can do that. And,
right.
Put
them on there and try it.
Actually decide to.
There's definitely a lot of room for improvement. I mean, just based on the wheelies, and I kept it. I only went like 122 to the 60 foot on them, which isn't that fast. I mean, these were slicks also, not the radial version like Devin races on 235s or whatever the.
Yeah, we have Rowdy Radial.
Rowdy Radial.
Week,
yeah.
Where it's a 235, but it's a radial tire. It's just a mini. 275 Mickey.
Right.
It's just
which I'm sure is still difficult, but a slick is even harder, I feel like, just because it's not a radial. I mean, it's slicks. I pride myself in slick tire racing. That's why racing on radials these last 2 weekends was kind of interesting. Like, I've never raced on them, but slicks are my thing. So that's why I chose. Just
hold the wheel straight.
Yeah.
Don't move it.
Right. On a radial for sure.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose the 26 slick to do. And then I think the radial record I heard after I posted was only a 437. So I was right there.
Yeah, I think that might be Devin's.
Is it?
It might be. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
No, probably not. He's definitely done similar stuff, but he's done.
In his sick week trim, he went 450s.
Yeah.
But that was sick week where you're just trying to make it down, obviously.
Heavy too.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't drive mine anywhere.
Convertible. Heavy.
Right.
He's got built-in jacks on that thing.
I know.
Air jacks.
I know. He's what I'd call bougie.
Yeah.
He is bougie. He likes his nice stuff.
He really does. He's remote start.
Right.
I was just
He
like,
is
Devin,
wild.
stop. Like, come on.
He
How
is
much
wild.
wiring does that car need?
Right. He's the wiring guru, though.
I know. He's the guy for it. Which it just has everything in there. Every sensor under the sun. Probably ones that I wouldn't even think of. And
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool that it did that and
Yeah.
put that record. But then, starting to think about the small tire stuff, it's the forced handicap that a lot of events need to slow everything down. A lot of this racing comes down to, all right, how do we slow the field down?
Right.
You can force a handicap with a small tire. The thought originally was like, oh, you force a handicap with a 275 and like that doesn't work anymore.
Nope.
You can force a handicap with a 235, but that still only kind of works.
Right.
But it works better because it's so difficult.
It definitely was difficult. 26s are very temperamental because being as they're narrower, the sidewall is not there either.
Yeah.
That's why a sidewall is a big deal into hooking also. And now what I think it did was actually grow the 26-inch sport, I would call it, class. There's a lot more events around me that added the 26, but they have outlawed cars like mine, which I think is a fair rule set. They've done, stock suspension only or no boosted big blocks because they're always like, well, Joey can go 430s on it. We don't want him showing up, which is fair. Like I'm not the type, I don't want to puppy kick a class. I am small tire. I don't want to drop down to some other more budget-oriented class because, that ain't me. Like, I want to race the fast guys, or I want to go fast, too. Like, the 26 thing was cool, but I'm not going to race on them all the time.
Well, so you run the I-29 stuff when they do ice cream cruise.
I help with them. I have my own events that we do coming up in May.
Okay, at I-29.
At I-29, yep. Very similar, a set of classes and stuff like that.
What are the classes at that one then?
So this year we're doing a Friday, Saturday event. So there are several index classes because you have to, what I've learned from doing events, you have to orient classes to your market. So just because what works in Florida isn't going to work for me in Nebraska. So we don't have many fast cars. I'm just going to say it, there's not many that are similar to mine.
There's not a lot of tracks.
No, yeah.
It's not Dallas where there's a track every hour in any direction.
No kidding. They have tons. But yeah, so I have index classes. We'll talk about both days. So I have index classes from 650 to 950. In between there's 4 classes. And then some of the most notable classes I have are your pretty normal small tire. We have a small tire class on Friday and Saturday, but on Friday we have the what I call small tire light. Which is your limited small tire class. No boosted big blocks, 28 10.5 tire.
Okay.
Pretty normal rule set for all of the twin turbo LS or LS cars or,
Just to slow them down a little bit.
Yeah, I would say, 480 to 520 range, let's say. And so that is on Friday. But then on Saturday, I have a class called the Puppies class, which is free entry, 4,000 to win, another class oriented towards the middle of the road small tire cars, along with our faster small tire class, which is a 29.5 class.
Okay. Yeah, people just want somewhere to race. People
Right.
just want a heads-up race in a class that they can somewhat be
Exactly.
competitive
And we have in the Saturday small tire class, I don't remember if we talked about this last time. I pay $100 every time you win a round. And it builds, it goes, $100 is the first and second rounds, and then it's like 500 and then 2,000. So you are winning money every time you turn on the win light. And first round, if you lose, you go into a different bracket and can continue on doing that also.
I like that because Mike Corley was telling me he does pretty much the same thing at his Sinister deal that they put on down in Immokalee and a couple other places. They do pretty much the same deal, paying you out as you progress through the round.
Correct, yeah. Because in my area, people don't care about racing for 10, 20 grand. They won't show up.
Yeah.
Because they know, well, the serious cars are going to show up to race for that money. I don't even have a shot at winning, so why would I even show up?
Yeah, why donate my $200 or whatever?
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like...
So I have learned over time, if I can win $100 if I just win one round, they're going to show up.
Yeah.
So that class is really popular. But otherwise, the classes I run I try to do different things than outside our area because they don't work. I mean, we don't have the amount of cars like War in the Woods or anything like that.
Yeah, like a North Carolina area.
Right.
Or even like Dallas again. Like many cars, so much racing. I talked to Jimmy who lives out there, and every weekend there's like a cash days or like this small tire race or something. And I'm like, man, I'm pretty jealous of that.
Yeah, see,
like, we have really good racing in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't have the constant stuff for the little guy.
Right.
Like, you can go to Bradenton and see badass stuff all the time.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you're going to fit in that badass stuff.
Nope.
All the time.
So you got to tailor your events to your market of racers, and that's where I'm at. Where I'm at. That's May 2nd and 3rd coming up, though.
Oh, yeah, that's real soon then.
Yeah.
And then you also help with the ice cream cruise stuff, which is always one of the best events. I always tell everyone to try to make it to that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Kyle does such a good job with that.
They have lots of racing for everybody. On Sundays, they do a kind of streetcar takeover style of racing, where you have this large group of racers in one class, and then you break it up into individual classes after you've qualified, I guess you could say, Yeah,
that's a fun one for sure.
Yeah, because that really... Tight racing is fun. I mean, it's not fun when you just donkey stomp everybody,
Yep. I mean, the qualifying sheet last night for what I was doing... Like I told you, I was like, I'm going to get puppy kicked in this class. Like, Jim Braun was number 1 qualifier with a 6.9.
Yeah.
And then I was number 8 qualifier with a 7.9.
Oh, wow.
So, like, the spread there between 8 and then there's 16 cars.
Yeah.
And, like,
you can't
then
make
it goes
that
to, like,
up.
8.9.
Yeah.
It's like...
That's too big of a spread.
That's huge. We're talking 2 seconds.
Yeah. You can't... There's nothing you can do. He could mess up, spin, and still win, honestly.
Still got all of it. You just hope that maybe he red lights, but the spread just sucks. It makes it so, like...
So tough to get motivated, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with broad rule sets.
Right.
They end up eventually becoming like that.
Yeah, and I mean... It's a good point to talk back on the all-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive thing, is that it might take us a few races to get it closer, and just like John Sears, they are so experienced in 25 pounds here is going to slow a car down 2 numbers or whatever. That's how Pro Mod racing is so tight. They have been working on that rule set for years.
Yep.
Where Garrett and I have just started this thing, and it might take us a few events to get it closer.
And you didn't really have much to look at because there wasn't really those two cars competing together
No.
all that much.
No.
It happened here and there, but not that much. And not knowing how fast they are
Right.
is tough. Like John Sears knows exactly how fast that Pro Mod just went.
Oh, yeah.
To the number. You know, he knows
Yep.
what the 330 was. He knows what the back split was.
Right.
Like, he
Mile
knows
an
that.
hour, everything.
You don't know that when you're not, you know.
A lot of unknowns, but we'll work towards making it a better, funner race for people to watch and stuff.
I think it was definitely a lot of good videos came out of it.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
And speaking of video, since you were last on, you've gone down the YouTube rabbit hole
yeah.
of, you know, doing more content, which is, I think you've realized there's some fun in it if you don't take it too seriously.
Right. That's exactly the way to put it, I'd say. You know, that it can feel like a job if you get too into it.
Yeah.
And I have plenty of jobs right now. Too many.
Between a family, a real job, and the car.
Yeah.
You wanted to
And
pick up something
tuning
else.
and now YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah. But no, it's been fun. It honestly has been fun. I like telling a story, you know. As you know, in the YouTube world, you got to find your style of your video. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, you know, I've been trying to find that avenue of what I need to go down and what the viewers want to see.
Yeah.
And I think I'm getting close.
Well, you also create so much natural content from what you do that it's almost like a no-brainer to double utilize it in a way. Like,
Right.
It's already happening.
Might as
You
well
have
just
to
video.
document it.
Yeah. Which is tough sometimes
Very.
because you're so used to just going and doing something.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I got to get the camera out, you know, which is okay. You'll get more used to it as I go on, you know, and do that before it won't be second guessing myself anymore, you know?
Yeah, you get better at just one take and
Right.
not having to film something again, not having to over-edit things because you had to, you stopped in the middle of talking too much. And
Yeah. That is the tough part of filming enough, but not having to edit so much.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's tough.
Not
Remembering to turn the
over-explaining.
GoPro on, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that is
Like,
a
I
very
wish
tough
they
one.
just had a remote or something. I mean, I'm sure they do or something, but, you know.
Having somebody at least, because I usually race solo, so I don't have anyone to really
See, so that's tough.
turn on a GoPro.
You got to have it within reach to reach it.
Yep.
And
I usually mount my phone on the dash
yeah.
and then just go from there. But you probably have yours connected to a Draggy also.
Yeah, it is. And
They need to put those things through an ECU.
something. Yeah.
Nice if the Draggies
That
were
would be cool.
incorporated into
You
the
got it.
Ollie.
There's your next idea.
Yeah. Well, they just came out that Gen 2. Maybe it could connect to an ECU. Who knows?
Maybe. I don't know. That would be cool, though.
But where can people follow all that at? We'll wrap this up because you got a whole day planned.
Oh, yeah. We've been in Florida for a week now. A week and a few days now.
But you brought the whole family down, which is nice.
Yes. So
And your second family, all of your
all of
all
the
your
crew
friends.
and friends, yes, they are, you know, we've been with them all week and, you know, I feel like they're wore out. So, yeah, they stayed back at the Airbnb. But otherwise, no, the YouTube channel is just Beater Bomb. Pretty simple. Luckily, no one took it before because I am way late on the bandwagon of the YouTube.
I can't believe you didn't even have one, like, just had it there.
I had an old one that I had, but I thought it'd be best to start a fresh, brand new one and,
Yep.
you know, go from there. So Beater Bomb on YouTube, obviously Beater Bomb on Facebook. Very easy stuff to remember. I did, as we were talking about the 26-inch record thing, I just got a new t-shirt design that is shipping to my house right now. And you can find all that and merch on headsupnoprep.com.
Headsupnoprep.com. Make sure all that is in the description. As always, guys, go subscribe, go watch some of the videos, go check it out because there's some good stuff on there. You might accidentally learn something.
Yeah, and I posted how fast I went last weekend at the radial race. So
Really? You're more open than people would assume you are.
yeah, I've gotten to the point where it's whatever, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, like we talked, I got bored in racing. Winning a lot is cool, but it gets old. I mean, doing the same thing gets old.
Yep.
So having some different stuff to do is fun.
I call all my no time friends sometime. They show sometimes.
Sometimers, yep.
They show some of the time. Like a lot of the time they'll show like the 60 foot or like the 330, and it's like, okay, so we're all just sometime racers at this point. You show us a little bit of it.
And I used to be a die-hard no-time racer, like...
Didn't even open the hood in front of people.
No, exactly. And anymore, no. Yesterday, Vic was like, hey, do you want the boards on or off? I was like, don't care.
That's funny. Yeah, Fred didn't even see under the hood for the longest time.
Exactly.
And Fred
lives in Omaha with me.
And he doesn't even race. So it's like, why are you even hiding from him?
Right. Right.
He was just filming it. But all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.